All right, you guys, so we are going to be talking about distributing. So this is going to be a little bit of a refresher for you guys. So talking about the distributive property. So you guys know that whenever you see parentheses, that means that there is something that has to distribute. Okay, so today we're going to be working with both expressions and equations, which means we simplify expressions and then we solve equations. Right? So let's look at number 1. Numbers 1 through 6 are expressions. So that means we are simplifying them. Okay? So whenever we see parentheses, which we are going to see on every single example today, we are using the distributive property. Okay, so write that down, the distributive property. Okay, so basically what the distributive property is there will be something right in front of or right next to the parentheses, and it's kind of like they are outside of the house and they want to come into the house and hang out with everybody in there. Okay, so let's look at number 1. What is the number that is right in front of the parentheses that wants to distribute inside or go inside and hang out? Okay, it's this -5, right? So this -5 wants to distribute or go inside and hang out. Well, what does that mean when we're distributing? What are we actually doing? Are we adding that -5? Are we subtracting it? What are we doing? We are multiplying, right? Whenever we are distributing something, we are multiplying it. Okay? So this -5 needs to multiply to both things inside. So we have -5 times 1x. Okay, so it's like 1, right? That invisible 1 that's right there. So we have -5 times x. That's just going to give me -5x. Okay, so then we have a -5 times 6. Okay, so -5 times 6. What is that going to give me? -5 times 6. Negative times a positive. It's going to be a negative. We have 30. Okay, so now what we need to do is we have both pieces of our new expression. We just need to rewrite them. Okay, this became -5 times x became -5x. And then -5 times 6 became -30. Okay, the last thing before we decide that we're done simplifying is you need to ask, are these guys like terms? If they are, you need to simplify it some more. Combine them. If they're not, then it's simplified. Okay, so look at -5x and -30. Are these guys like terms? No, because the -5 has the x and the -30 doesn't. Okay, so this is as simplified as it'll go. -5x minus 30. Awesome. Okay, let's look at number 2. Okay, so number 2, what is the number that's right in front of the parentheses that wants to distribute inside? Okay, it's going to be +5. Okay, so that +5 wants to distribute in. And what are we actually doing when we distribute? We're multiplying. Okay, so we have 5 times 2v, our first term. Okay, what is that going to give me? 5 times 2v. 5 times 2 is going to give me 10. And there was 1v that was being multiplied, so v. Okay, now we have 5 times 9. So 5 times 9, what is that going to give me? 45. Okay, so we have both pieces of our new expression, so we'll just need to rewrite them together. So we have 10v and plus 45. Okay, before we decide that we're done, we need to ask ourselves, are they like terms? If they are, we can combine them some more. Okay, look at these two terms, 10v and 45. Are these guys like terms? No, they are not, because the 10 has the v, the 45 does not have a v. Beautiful. Okay, let's go to number 3. So same thing, we'll find your parentheses and then find the number that's right in front of the parentheses. What is the number that's right in front that is going to be distributed? That's going to be positive 5 again. Okay, so we have 5 times both things inside. Okay, so 5 times 1 is just going to give me 5. And then we have 5 times negative 10v. Negative 10v. Okay, so we have 5 times negative 10, which is going to give me negative 50. And then 1v that was being multiplied, so negative 50v. Okay, rewrite these two pieces together, 5 and the 50v, so we have 5 and then negative or minus 50v. Okay, now look at them and ask yourselves, are they like terms? Can I combine them anymore? Nope, because the negative 50 has a v, the 5 does not. So this is simplified. Perfect. Okay, let's go to number 4. Okay, find your parentheses. What is the number right in front of the parentheses that needs to distribute in? Okay, it's this negative 4. Okay, so negative 4 needs to distribute to both terms inside. So we have negative 4 times 9x. Okay, what's that going to give me? Negative 4 times 9, negative 36. And there was one x that was being multiplied, so just the 1x. Okay, our second one, negative 4 needs to multiply by the positive 1, so we have negative 4 times 1. It's going to give me negative 4. Okay, now just rewrite them together to create your new simplified expression. We have negative 36x and minus 4. Okay, last step is to see if they are like terms. Can we combine them anymore? So negative 36x and negative 4, can we combine them? No, we cannot, because the 36 has the x, the negative 4 does not. Okay, so that is simplified. Okay, let's look at number 5. Number 5 is different because we don't just see one number on the outside. We also see this negative 6. Okay, so what we're going to do is what I just want you guys to ignore until the end, until you have to combine like terms. Just ignore this negative 6. We're just going to pretend like it's not even there. Okay, so pretending that it's not even there, what is the number that is going to distribute in? Because we need to first distribute. Okay, so write down these steps. Our first step is going to be to distribute. And then our second step is going to be to combine like terms. Okay, this is going to help us with all of the rest of our examples for today. Okay, so our first step is to distribute. Our second step is to combine like terms. Okay, so going on our first step, because I told you guys to ignore this negative 6 until we get to the end, until we get to the second step. Okay, so what is the number that needs to distribute in? It's going to be that positive 8. Okay, so the 8 needs to distribute to both terms inside. So we get 8 times 1, which is just going to give me 8. And then we have 8 times positive 4n. So we get 8 times 4, which is 32. There was 1n, so 32n. Okay, so we distributed. So let's rewrite it really quick right here. So we have 8 plus 32n. Okay, so now what I want you to do is now we're going to bring down this negative 6 and then rewrite it again. Sorry, we just could have rewritten it right there. Oh well. Okay, so now the negative 6 has been waiting patiently. Now we can say it's negative 6 turned into a positive 8 plus 32n. Okay, so we got rid of our parentheses by distributing. We did our first step. Now we can go ahead and combine like terms. Okay, so looking at our new expression without parentheses, what are my like terms that I can combine? Okay, I see that -6 doesn't have a variable and 8 doesn't have a variable. Okay, so then -6 plus 8 is going to give me +2. Okay, and then the 32n is all that's left, so plus 32n. These guys are not like terms, so we know we are done simplifying. So our final simplified answer for number 5 is 2 plus 32n. First we had to distribute, then we had to combine like terms. We ignored this -6 until we got to the second step. Okay, so let's go to number 6. So number 6, first let me ask you, what is the number that is going to be distributed? What is the number that's right in front of the parentheses? Okay, it's this -2. Okay, so for our first step, we're going to have to distribute that -2. Okay, but now what is the number, just like on -6 over here on number 5, what is the number on number 6 that we are going to ignore until the very end? It's going to be that -9. Okay, we're going to ignore this -9 until the very end. Okay, so let's do our first step, our distributing. Okay, so -2 needs to multiply to both terms inside. So we get -2 times 4a. Okay, that's going to give me -2 times 4, gives me -8. There was 1a, so just -8a. Okay, then I have -2 times -10, which I have a negative multiplying by a negative, which gives me a positive. So 2 times 10 is 20. Okay, so now I'm just going to rewrite these guys together, right? So -8a and 20 gives me -8a plus 20. Okay, now that we are done with our first step, now this -9 can come down. Okay, so we distributed and got rid of our parentheses. So now we can go ahead and do our second step, combine like terms. Okay, so where are my terms that what are my terms that I can combine? What are my like terms? Okay, so I see that this -8 has an a, but I don't see any other terms with an a, right? So the only terms that I can combine are -9 and plus 20. So -9 plus 20 is going to give me positive 11. Okay, since the -8a couldn't combine with anything, we just write it next to it. So our final simplified answer is 11 minus 8a. Okay, so our first step was to distribute, get rid of the parentheses. When we got rid of the parentheses, we got -8a plus 20. Okay, then we brought down our -9, combined our like terms, and got our final simplified expression. Perfect. Okay, so now let's look at number 7. So notice our directions. Our directions are different because we're not dealing with expressions anymore. We are now dealing with equations. So it says to solve each equation. Okay, but we're going to treat it the same exact way. Okay, so we'll have our first step, which will be distribute. Our second step will be to combine like terms if we can. And then our third step for these guys is just to solve. So let's start it the exact same way. Okay, so find your parentheses. And then what is the number that is right in front of our parentheses that needs to distribute in? Okay, it's going to be this 8. Okay, so 8 is going to multiply to both of those guys. Okay, so we get 8 times 6k. What is 8 times 6? Actually, I'm going to check on the calculator. 8 times 6. Okay, that gives me 48. There was 1k being multiplied, so 48k. Okay, then 8 times -2 is going to give me -16. Boom. Okay, we got rid of our parentheses, so just write your equal sign, and -352 is on the other side. Boom. First step done. So now we can treat this just like any other equation. Okay, so draw your line down your equal sign. So I see that 48 is being multiplied to the k, and then I have minus 16. So what do I need to get rid of first? Do I need to get rid of the 48 or the minus 16? I need to get rid of this subtract 16 first. So what is the opposite of subtract 16? It's going to be to add 16. Okay, so we get rid of it, but we must do the same thing to both sides. Okay, so we have 48k is left over here equals negative 352 plus 16. And I'm going to put this in my calculator. You're always welcome to use a calculator. Negative 352 plus 16 is going to give me negative 336. Okay. So now, my very last step, how do I get rid of times by 48? What's the opposite of times by 48? We divide by 48. Okay, so divide it out. Got to do the same thing to both sides. Okay, so in your calculator, you can still do negative 336 divided by 48. So we get k is all by itself over here. Negative 336 divided by 48 gave me negative 7. Okay, so our k is all by itself, so you can rewrite it as your answer. K equals negative 7. Perfect. So when we're solving equations where we have to distribute, you must always distribute first. We didn't have to combine like terms. We could just get to solving the equation. Okay, so let's look at number 8. Okay, so find your parentheses. First step is always to distribute and get rid of those parentheses. So find your parentheses and identify what is the number that's right in front of those parentheses that we have to distribute in. Okay, it's going to be this negative 3, right? Okay, so ignore the negative 7. Okay, this negative 7 is just like this negative 9 that we're going to ignore until we have to combine like terms. Okay, so first let's distribute. Okay, so I get negative 3 times 6. What is that going to give me? I'll just write it right under. It's going to give me negative 18. Okay, negative 3 times negative 8n. So we have a negative times a negative. It's going to give me a positive. 3 times 8, 24, and 1n. Okay, so now, once you've distributed, now you can bring down that negative 7. Okay, equals negative 193. Okay, before we can start solving, remember we distributed. Now we have to see if there are any like terms that we can combine. Okay, so looking at the side with my variable, this side, what are my like terms that I can combine? It's going to be negative 7 and negative 18 because they don't have an n, right? So negative 7 getting 18 more negative 7 minus 18 is going to give us negative 25. Okay, just bring down what's left, plus 24n, and equals negative 193. Beautiful. Now that there are no more like terms, we can go ahead and solve now. Okay, so let's draw a line down our equal sign. So what is my first step? So I have the 24 that's being multiplied to the n, and then I have this minus 25 in front. So which do I need to get rid of first? I need to get rid of this minus 25. So what is the opposite of negative 25 or minus 25? It's going to be to add 25. Okay, so we'll add 25 to both sides. I have 24n is left over equals negative 193 plus 25. I'm going to do in my calculator. Negative 168. Okay, in fact, I'm just going to rewrite this over here so we have a little more room. Okay, so I got negative 168 equals 24 times n. Okay, so my very last step is to get rid of this times by 24. So what is the opposite of times by 24? we divide by 24. Okay, that got rid of it. We got to do the same thing to both sides. Okay, so n is all by itself. N equals, what is negative 168 divided by 24? Ooh, same answer. Negative 7. Okay, you don't have to rewrite this. N equals negative 7. It's the same as writing it that way. Okay, so our answer, n equals negative 7. Awesome. Okay, let's look at number 9. So find your parentheses. And what is the number that has to distribute, or that's right in front of those parentheses? Okay, it's going to be this negative 7. Okay, so it needs to distribute or multiply to both things inside. So we have negative 7 times 5. It's going to give me negative 35. Okay, then I have a negative 7 times a positive 8m. Okay, so again, negative times a positive. It's going to give me a negative. 7 times 8. It's going to give me 56. And then with the 1m, negative 56m. Okay, so we got rid of our parentheses. Let's check. Do we need to combine like terms? Is negative 35 and negative 56m a like term? Nope. So there's nothing we need to combine, so we can go ahead and start solving it. Okay, so I have this negative 56 that's being multiplied to the m, and then this minus 35 that's out in front. So which do I need to get rid of first? I need to get rid of, sorry, just kicked the table. I need to get rid of this minus 35. So what's the opposite of minus 35? We add 35. Okay, gotta do the same thing to both sides. Okay, so we get negative 56m is still left over, equals, what is 245 plus 35? 245 plus 35, it's going to give me 280. Perfect. Okay, there's one last step we need to do to get our m all by itself. So I have negative 56 being multiplied to the n, or the m, excuse me. Okay, so what is the opposite of times by negative 56? We divide by negative 56. Same thing to both sides. Get m is all by itself. What is m going to equal? 280 divided by negative 56. And that gave me negative 5. Perfect. Okay, last example. So the very first thing we want to do is find those parentheses and then find the number that is right in front of them. So what number is going to be distributed? It's going to be this negative 6. So notice this negative 4x on the end. Again, we're just going to ignore him until it's time to combine like terms. So first thing we need to do is distribute. So let's distribute this negative 6 into both terms inside. Okay, focus, little guy, focus. There you go. Okay, so we get negative 6 times 1, just going to give me negative 6. Okay, then I have negative 6 times positive 6x. So negative 6 times positive 6, negative 36 with the x. Okay, we got rid of our parentheses, so now you can bring down that negative 4x. Okay, the equals negative 86 on that side, but we don't quite need that yet. Okay, so now that we distributed, we can go ahead and see if there are any like terms that we can combine. So what are my like terms on my sides with my variable that I can combine? Okay, I see that there are two x's, two terms with x's. So I have negative 36x and minus 4x. So negative 36 minus 4 more is going to give me what? Negative 40x. Okay, you can just bring down that negative 6 equals negative 86. Okay, so now we combine like terms. No more like terms, so we can go ahead and start solving it. Okay, so I have this negative 6 out front and then this negative 40 that's being multiplied to the x. Which do I need to get rid of first? I need to get rid of this minus 6. And what is the opposite of minus 6? It's going to be to add 6. Okay, so negative 40x is left over equals negative 86 plus 6. So we're moving towards the positives here. That's going to leave me at negative 80. Okay, so my very last step is to what? I am multiplying by negative 40 here. What's the opposite of times by negative 40? Divide by negative 40. Do the same thing to both sides. Okay, so we get x is all by itself equals, what is negative 80 divided by negative 40? Negative divided by negative, positive. 80 divided by 40 is 2. So x equals 2. Awesome. Those are your notes. Make sure you guys fill out your assignment and you are good to go.